Hi guys, I hope you're well and having a blessed Friday. So today in my message, I'm going to talk to you about a key virtue. I think it's quite important to us, especially us as Christians, who are growing up in a world where there are a lot of challenges and problems that we may face, with some affect us more than others. And so that virtue is perseverance. And throughout our lives, we would have faced and will face many issues that seem extremely hard to combat, no matter how big or small they are. And some of them may look insurmountable, and it may not seem like there's an end to these problems. So that's why I think that perseverance is extremely important to have, as I think that's what will help us get through them. And I think without perseverance, we could struggle to pass some of these problems. And so perseverance is generally defined as the ability to remain persistent in a task despite difficulty or delay of success. And this can apply to many aspects of our lives, whether it be doing schoolwork, handling friendships, or dealing with family issues. And these are just some, really few, of the many challenges that we will face in life. And for me, a good example in the Bible that's shown perseverance is the story of Joseph. And Joseph was the son of Jacob, and he had 11 other brothers. He was most loved by their father, and was given a special garment by his father. And Joseph even had two dreams in his life that all of his siblings and family would eventually bow down to him later on in their life. And this made Joseph's siblings very jealous of him, to the point where they plotted to kill him. And so one day, when Joseph and his siblings were tending to the sheep, Joseph's siblings saw some traders, some slavers actually, and they saw that as an opportunity to get rid of Joseph without killing him. That's what they did. They took Joseph, they stripped him of his garment, and sold him to the slavers. And he was taken to Egypt. And then they went back to his father and told him that Joseph had been killed by a wild animal. And so Joseph was now a slave in Egypt, and he had worked for some years, to the point where he became the overseer of his slave's household. And he even was quite relatively well respected at the time. But this respect was soon taken away from him when the slave's wife accused him of rape, when Joseph rejected sleeping with her. And so Joseph was sent to prison and had once again lost everything that he had worked for. And Joseph remained in prison for many years and was even portrayed once again in prison when two of the Pharaoh's workers had been in prison because they annoyed him. And so these two prisoners had dreams that they couldn't interpret or understand. But Joseph could. And Joseph had correctly predicted that the Pharaoh's baker was to be hanged and the cupbearer was to be released. And all Joseph asked the cupbearer to do was to mention Joseph's name to the Pharaoh. But he didn't. And so Joseph remained in prison for many years, until the Pharaoh himself had some dreams he couldn't understand that had cows and grain in them. And this is when the cupbearer remembered Joseph and suggested that the Pharaoh spoke to him. And so he did. And Joseph then predicted that there will be 7 years of high yield, followed by 7 years of famine. And Joseph advised the Pharaoh to stockpile the grain that they could during those 7 years to prepare for the famine. And so the Pharaoh acted on Joseph's advice, and he stored more food for all of Egypt during those 7 years of high yield. And then the 7 years had passed, and then the 7 years of famine had come. And because of Joseph's advice, Egypt was prepared, with the only kingdom actually that was prepared for the famine, and they had food enough for all of the inhabitants as well as some other people from other kingdoms who came to Egypt for help. And so this major success led to Joseph being declared the ruler of Egypt, second only to the Pharaoh, which is an amazing position to be in, since Joseph has been a slave and a prisoner, and he is now the ruler of Egypt. But Joseph's life is full of challenges and problems, and many of them were by no fault of his own. He still trusted in God and never give up on himself or God. And I think in our lives, it can sometimes seem a lot easier to just give up and to let our problems overtake us rather than us overtake our problems, and let at the end we win. I want to encourage you that we're much stronger than that. In Romans chapter 5 verse 4 it says, "Endurance develops strength of character, and character strengthens our confidence of hope and salvation." I think that only through being tested and challenged can we grow spiritually, and God blesses those who patiently endure testing, and they will receive the crown of life God has promised to those who love Him, as it says in James chapter 1 verse 12. So whenever you feel challenged in any way or find something that's overwhelming, no matter how big or small it is, I just want to encourage you to pray about it and know that God has a plan for you, and that your perseverance will bless you in ways that you couldn't imagine.